Good afternoon, or morning, or evening, depending on where you're tuning in from and at what time. Um, this is Brian Street here with Your Legacy. Your Legacy begins now. Well, that's the name of the company. Our podcast or our live stream, however you want to refer to it, Legacy Dialogues. We're here again. We're here just over, no, we're 2 weeks ago. I want to say 2 weeks ago. We were here where I had my last couple of guests, and I'm thankful. Um, I'm excited, honored, a whole bunch of positive words to bring this lady to you that I'm going to bring to you today because so many people deal with things in life and they just kind of suffer in silence. They deal with it. They don't have the support system. They just try and figure it out. Sometimes they fail, sometimes they succeed, but oftentimes they don't know how to get through some of the obstacles that they're going through. And oftentimes we look at what we're going through and we think that it's the worst that could happen. But then we run across someone that has it worse or that has their battle that they're fighting that we look at them and we're like, oh my goodness, I don't know how you make it through that and still continue to be the individual that you are, professional, the individual that you are, and just out and about in the world. So when our current guest, when our today's guest shares with you some of the information, some of the insights, some of the experience, the things that she's gone through, I hope you can reflect and understand that if you're going through whatever you're going through, you can make it through it as well. So without further ado, I bring to you Miss Angie Marie. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I kept looking at the image that I posted of myself and the flyer with you, and I'm like, man, I gotta get back to that body. That was me in the mirror at Louisiana State University
Mhm.
in 2019, just before I finished my first 2 years of my doctorate. And I was working out Monday through Thursday at least 11 p.m. like clockwork. And it's just the consistency that I've got to get back to. My body rebounds pretty quickly once I
Mhm.
am consistent. But that that post, it kind of motivates me to go out and do what's necessary. So with that being said, um, just kind of give the audience, those who may not know you, those who may be coming from my side of the spectrum, just a little synopsis. Who is Angie Marie Ware? A little bit about where you came from, where you currently are in life, and the direction that you're trying to go in.
Okay. So I live in Illinois, which let me just tell you, we've had nothing but rain every single day and storms over in St. Louis, which is about 45 minutes or so from me. So today is actually a pretty sunny day. So I had to kind of be by the outside so I could have some sunlight. But with that being said, I am, I guess you could say, a caregiver for my daughter. She was involved in an accident 3 years ago this past April. And so I'm a caregiver for her and I do coaching online. So I used to do it in person, but since her accident, I just decided to do it online and help people out that way. So that's kind of that's my life every single day. If I'm not at appointments, I'm online coaching somebody or doing something like that. So that's kind of
Got you.
what I.
So let's kind of compartmentalize
Mhm,
and go from life before the
mhm.
accident, your day to day, how your reality was, your relationship with your daughter, all that good stuff. And then we'll kind of transition into what shifted and how everything shifted once you had that accident and you had to just turn everything around. I feel like lots of people will be able to relate at one respect or another. But yeah, before the accident, what was life like, and what was you guys' relationship like?
Before the accident, I mean, I was pretty much working out full time. I trained in the gym, but I did have a full time job as well. And when her accident happened, it, well, obviously it changed everything. She was in the hospital for 3 months. It was one of those, um, we weren't sure what was going to happen. We weren't sure if she was going to pull through or not. So it was a very long road. It's still been a long road. When she came home, I pretty much stayed at the house. I worked in the evenings. I was home with her. We were fortunate to where my mom came to the house and helped with her. She was going to therapies 4 days a week. So it was a full-time thing. And I guess last year I started to stay with her, become her caregiver, full-time caregiver. And since that, her and I have always been very close, even before the accident. I always say you can't be your child's best friend, but she's like a best friend. And now, since the accident, I guess you could say to a certain degree we've maybe grown closer. It's a little different. Like I said, I help her. I have to help her do a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
So I do not work out like I used to. I used to be, like I said, I was what they call the gym rat. I was there 6-7 days a week. And now I can't quite do that. We're doing appointments, 4 times, 5 times a week, full time. And so now I do, if my workouts are going to consist of a couple days, like when I can get to the gym. Otherwise, I do stuff at home, go for walks. I will take her, and Maggie, our little golden retriever, will go for walks around here. She is in a wheelchair when it comes to like doing stuff like that, going for walks or longer distances. But she has a walker, and so that's pretty much what she uses full time. And that's really about it. That's right now, our days consist of, she just graduated. And so when she was going to school, I would take her to school from about 8:15 in the morning until 11:40ish, and then pick her up. We'd hurry up, and usually it was a drive through for lunch because we had to be either in St. Louis or Highland or somewhere at 1 o'clock for appointments. By the time we got home, it was usually anywhere between 4 and 5 o'clock. Then it got to be, dinner time and your nighttime routine. So it was a full day from literally 5:30 in the morning until almost 10 o'clock at night. And it's usually even now, it's about, I feel when I do my coaching, sometimes I can get on during the day. I try to get on, like when she's in one of her therapies or something, I will get on and I'll do whatever I need to do. I get up sometimes early in the morning, get on for a short time and do what I need to do again. A lot of times it's about 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night that I sit down and I'll do the programs and all of that stuff, whatever's on my agenda for some of my clients. So it's very busy. It's nonstop for sure, but I love it. So, I won't complain about it.
Yeah, and I love that, you say you won't complain about it. Obviously, we all go through the difficulties,
Right.
and we have those challenges. And I'm going to kind of shift into like really highlighting people's transition into or potential transition into challenges. But
Mhm.
before I do, you mentioned you used to work out like 6 or 7 days a week, gym rat. Now,
Yep.
I don't think people can really grasp what you mean until, and I'm going to share some images I have before, but I'm going to share some images underneath for those who are watching on Facebook, underneath this video after we finish. But you did more than just work out. You were like that chick. So kind of highlight a little bit more because lots of people have a certain like very intentional and a high intensity routine in life, which I would say, your routine was to a certain degree.
Mhm.
And whenever a major shift happens, the way it happened in your life, it's very difficult to pivot. So, kind of go a little bit deeper in like what your fitness regimen was like before the accident, what some of the activities were that you were into years prior as it pertains to fitness. Because I feel like we're gonna have some people that can relate and
Mhm.
really may need to see or to hear how you pivoted not only with the activities, but also like mentally, how did you deal with pretty much completely changing your identity to a certain degree?
Okay, so prior to the accident, I started to go to the gym. I don't know, not long after I got married. And I will say I was not athletic, didn't play sports, nothing, didn't know what I was going to do when we joined the gym. I'm like, what do you want me to do? Okay, I'll just do the machine. So that's where I started. Had no idea what I was doing. And it all got started. I met a gal that was she was training to basically she's trying to get certified to be a personal trainer. So that was kind of how I got started. I started just kind of working with her and she was showing me things. And I always say I was like her guinea pig because she was training me and practicing. And then I just fell in love with it. I continued to do it. Then I decided I wanted to get certified. So then got certified. We thought that we were eating very good and we couldn't understand why we still weren't getting the results that we wanted. We thought that we were doing well. But when we hired a nutritionist, we realized we weren't doing so well. Like it was a totally different style that we needed to change to from our eating. So we did that and I went there for a while. Like I said, everything had kind of changed. And then I got out of that part, just kind of did the working out on my own. I kind of knew where weight wise and what I wanted to do, physique wise. It wasn't something that I thought I wanted to do full time. So then I went on and did my own thing with weight training and that. And I don't know, then somehow, I'm not even quite sure how I somehow ended up having a trainer and we ended up doing training for fitness competitions.
Nice.
Never in my mind thought I would do that ever. I was not one to get up in front of people, did not ever see myself in a two-piece. In fact, I never wore a two-piece until basically right before I got on stage. So
Really?
that was a rude awakening. Everyone's like, why? I'm like, that wasn't me. I wasn't going to run around in a two-piece. I don't know. So got on stage and I guess it was 2013 was my first show. And it was a totally different, I don't know, a life experience. Got off stage. I said, I'll never, ever do that again. I was like, I went out of my comfort zone big time. That was in 2015. I decided to hire a different coach and just see what happens. And so my physique had completely changed with his style of coaching. And I decided, let's do it. Let's do it again. And so I went for it again and I did a show. I started my prep in January and I did my show in May, I guess it was. And then I decided I needed to go back. I wasn't happy with my results. I was going to continue and I was going back. And so I continued and went back in October and did the same show then. And that was it. My coach had told me, he goes, that's going to be hard on your body. You may not want to do that. And I'm like, nope, I'm going back. I was like, I was determined. And so he was right. I will say, I went back, did the show, and I got off stage and said, I'm done. Took my heels off, got off stage, and I was done. I said, let's go eat. So that was it. And since then, I have not done a show. I don't know if I have the willpower. I mean, I think maybe eventually, not that I would ever get on stage, but I could gain that willpower back. But it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time. You're food prepping. You're at the gym 6 days a week. And now I just kind of have a different look on things. I just want to, be healthy, be strong, and just, like I said, live a healthier life. And so I can't say that I would get on stage again. I don't think that that's me right now anyways.
Yeah, obviously we have our stages of life,
Uh-huh.
and not intended. Um, but so, and this is a selfish question.
Mhm.
I I'm looking to get, and I've got to really kick things up a little bit. I'm looking to get into the best shape that I've been in the last 13 years or so
Mhm.
by the end of this year. And I know it's going to take a whole lot of very intentional sacrifices and commitment and dedication because I'm looking to do a 40 plus fitness competition after I hit 40, which will be
Mhm.
in November. So, from a previous competitor to a future competitor, what would you say would be the main thing I need to start taking in mind right now and, mentally prepare if I'm looking to actually make that happen?
I mean, honestly, I would say mentally, you just have to prepare yourself for it's a full time job. I mean, it's a lot of, like I said, the eating. You've got to have your food prepped. You have to get in your workouts. So it is something I felt like when I did my shows, I took time away from the family because it was a lot of work. It's hard work. So I mean, mentally, I would say just be prepared to work your butt off because
Got it.
that's how it's going to be. It's a lot of time, a lot of dedication, but it can
Yeah.
be done. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I think when you start to see results, that is what fires you up. That's when
Yeah.
you start to see the results, then it's like, oh, we got to keep going. Let's see what else we have, and
Mhm.
so then it becomes an addiction. It really does. And that was my thing is I'm like, well, there could be a lot more things I'm addicted to. So I'm
Right.
addicted to the gym. Okay, fine. you know, but it it's it's amazing. It really is when you get on a routine, and even like I said, being a coach myself, a trainer, I had a trainer my whole through all my
Mhm.
shows. I will still sometimes, even now, go to a trainer just a couple days a week, just to keep the consistency, just to
Yeah.
because it's easy, especially with my schedule, to be like, oh, I'll go to the gym later. Well, I won't. If I don't do it in the morning, it's very hard for me late in the afternoon or into the evening, just
Yeah.
because of our routines. And so it's one of those where some days, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna call Dave, who works with me, and I'm gonna see about working out. And so I'll go to the gym and have that accountability. That's the big thing, is just
Yeah.
having that accountability. And like I said, he's worked with Grace before, and so I've taken her up there and worked with her too, and you know, so
Got it. So you kind of got a pretty much a all around relationship with them, so it kind of knows you guys pretty well.
yes.
Um, and I'm I've had people who would say, "Hey, I hear you. You say you're trying to get in shape, yada yada yada. I'll put you on my program, and I promise you, I'll whoop you into shape, this, that, and third." And I tell them, "You can't. You
Mhm.
won't. Not unless you're right here physically with me.
Yeah.
It's not going to work for me because I will lie to you. I will tell you, yeah, I did it just to get you out of my hair." But if you're here with me, I can't lie to you. Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna see me. And when I got in my absolute best shape in my life was 2011. I was 203 pounds on December the 23rd of 2010. 2011, I met a former professional tennis player. She played pro in Europe. She came here to the States to go to school, and we started to work out together. She started to train me, and like I say, it was a woman, and in my head, like, no woman can't like
Mhm.
outdo me fitness wise. So she was kicking my butt. So it pushed me to go so hard, and I got excellent results. I dropped 30 pounds within about 3 months. And
Yep.
like it was 4 to 5 days a week, consistently, very high intensity, very intentional with how I was eating. Now, I didn't have to like starve myself because I worked out like crazy. and and I got the results. So I know it's doable, but at the same time, I had one child then. I wasn't a full time entrepreneur then. So I know there's going to be the challenges that are going to hop up in my way. Um, and, speaking of challenges, being a full time entrepreneur, being a father of two, having obligations outside of what I had back then, there's a shift, a different way. I have to look at my day to day, similar to how you have to look at your day to day
Mhm.
differently now. So, kind of give us an idea of the mind shift that you had to go through when your daughter had her accident, and then you're just like, okay, this is my new normal. Like,
Mhm.
what were some of the things? First, what were some of the, and I mean, keep it as transparent as you want, because I
Mhm.
know dark thoughts come. Like
Mhm.
times come where we're like, oh my goodness, is or will this happen? What's the possibility of that? And we have those that pass through our mind, but then whenever we see what it's going to be, we may even still have some, well, dang, I wish this would have happened. I wish that would have happened. Kind of give us what that mental transition was for you, going from having the life that you just mentioned to us earlier to realizing that everything has changed now and this is my new norm.
Yeah. So it took a good, I would say, a year to a year and a half before I guess I kind of accepted life was changing. Sorry. It's, I do a lot of journaling.
Let it flow, girl. Keep it
I
real.
didn't expect this. But, anyways, okay. Um, I do a lot of journaling, and I think mentally that has helped. Doing the journaling, I used to be a very scheduled person. Can't have that so much. It's hard. I could have my schedule wrote out. I do it every Friday night. That's my Friday night. I sit down. I write out my schedule for the following week. Okay, we have this and this and this. But depending on her day, it can change in the blink of an eye. I may have it all lined up, and she wakes up and she's just not having a good day. So, with that being said, my day gets completely shifted, and I have to be there, for her. And so that was kind of difficult for me since I was a structured person. But like I said, I've learned to go with it, and since then, her and I have, I mean, like I said, I do a lot with the journaling. We kind of brought church more into our life. We've started going to, in fact, we actually just became members of a local church. Um, Actually, I guess 2 weeks ago it was, because this past Sunday she graduated. And so we decided that we were going to become members there. And so we did do that. We both got rebaptized in August. So there's been a lot of changes that her and I kind of just, it felt like it was a calling, like this was something that we just needed to do. And I have told my family many times since, I would say, December, I guess, I've mentally became, I would say, a new person. I just feel like there's a lot of things in the past that I probably really wouldn't have thought of doing, to be honest. And like the journaling, like I thought,
Mhm.
why? What's the point? And like I said, I do. I will get up in the mornings, and then I end my nights with journaling. And so that's really helped me. I mean, I guess just letting feelings out, but also, my day, how my day is gone. And then I will say we do a lot of listening to books online. We tried to do the whole buying the books and reading, and her and I are like, okay, you know what, whatever. We're not even paying attention to what we're reading. So now we love like Mel Robinson and different, the inspirational things. And we will be in the car, and that's all we do. We will sit there and listen to books and just, we can really relate to a lot of that stuff. It's funny. We look at each other and I'm like, what are you thinking? And she'll say something. I'm like, yep, me too. So, I mean, it's crazy. It's really hard to explain, but it's just something that, like I said, you don't realize how much trauma can change, not just her family, your friend. I mean, just life, everything. So it's just one of those where, it's changed us. I would say though, over the years that we've had to deal with this, it's been a learning experience, but I can't say that it's been completely bad. Like, we make the best out of what we can. That's, her and I will, there's times where we'll talk about things and sometimes people are like, why, how can you laugh about it? And we're like, well, do we want to sit here and, I mean, this is life. So we just make the best out of it and we'll laugh about it at times, because if we're not laughing, we're going to be crying. So you know what? We just try to, not that we obviously have our emotional days, we do. But we just try to make the best out of it. And, I just said something today actually on the gym that I go to, that, she has inspired so many people. So, a lot of people will sit here and, you just, they get down, they get down about life, or they get down about, oh, I can't do this or I can't do that. And so a lot of times I used to not really be that type of person that will sit there and be like, what are you complaining about? I've got a girl just turned 18 and she's would do anything to go back through her high school years.
It's a lot.
Yeah. She
So,
had to write a story, or like a paper, I guess, with school a couple months ago. And she goes, Mom, I had to write about my high school life. I said, oh. She goes, what was the best thing that happened to me? And I looked at her and I was straight honest. And I said, sucked. That's all I can tell you. And she said, yep. She said, my freshman year in April, she said, this happened. I haven't had a high school experience. And I said, yours was different. But you know what? We made the best out of it. And she's like, yeah, she's like, that's kind of what I wrote in the paper. And this, and afterwards I thought, I don't even know how she still can look at it and talk in a positive way, because she didn't have a high school experience. She had a lot of people that walked out. She had, it's one of those where, and that's where I said, your friends and family, I mean, if it wasn't for them, it would be very difficult. But again, it's made her stronger. She's just realized, I mean, with all of this, that, what, life is about me moving forward, and she's got goals. And like I said, today, I'm like, a lot of it is mental. And if you can set your mind to it, you can do it. But mentally, you just have to be strong. You have to prepare yourself and you have to be strong. And that's pretty much her goal, was to walk across graduation stage. And with one of her close friends, she was able to do that. She had to help her, but she was able to do that. And so she has a lot more goals. So she's not giving up. But
I love it.
I
I love
so,
it. This is my first time seeing you like react
I
to
know.
it like
I'm like,
this.
what the
So,
heck? I knew afterwards. I'm like, I don't need to be on doing this. I know how it's going to go.
yes, it's beautiful though,
But
because
it's life. I mean, it's reality. I mean, it
yeah,
is. So,
it it
um,
it it, it it's it opens up the relatability for people to
mhm.
say, "Oh wow, so I see her out here being this, super in shape and like keeping herself together physically, but dang, like so like things are actually tough for her."
Yeah.
And just to kind of go back on some of the things that you shared, um, I speak oftentimes to lots of my peers, those who don't have kids, and I always tell them, children are a blessing, but
Right.
they completely change the trajectory of your life if you weren't already prepared for, uh, the time that they came, so on and so forth. And I kind of look at that accident as kind of like you stepping back into that, okay, I am a new mom
Mhm.
role to a certain degree because you went back to having to do lots of the things that a new mom would have to do.
Mhm.
So, one of the things that you mentioned that you do that really helps you is the journaling. And
Mhm.
oftentimes people get stuck inside their head and don't realize that you got to get it out of you. Like,
Yep.
you've got to get it out. And once you get it out, oftentimes it allows you to be able to move more freely. It allows you to be able to operate more, successfully in whatever area that you're operating in. Because when you keep it in, it's like you're shaking up a bottle of caffeinated something, and it's all getting tight, and like you don't know where to put the extra energy, the extra feelings, the emotions, the hurt, the anger. You don't know where to put it, and you keep it all bottled in. But when you write it, you're able to let that out onto paper. And it's one of the practices that I put some of my clients through that are going through things in life. Uh, but I like that you were able to share that because it allows people to see that vulnerability, be more relatable. Hearing about you being Miss Fitness and doing your thing in the gym, but here now you go back. Okay, I gotta wind up. Let me rewind and go
Mhm.
back to being gentle Miss Mom again, and that can be difficult for a lot of people. So, speaking of the transition, the emotional aspect of things, the mental fortitude that you've had to build up, how have you been able to use that in or working with certain people? Have you been able to use it when you work with certain ones of your clients? Because obviously the fitness is kind of in there because you did it, you competed, you excelled, you got the visuals to show that I know what I'm doing in this
Yeah.
space. But when it comes to showing that you know what you are putting out there, you know how to help people develop that resilience. Have you been able to utilize that working with people? And if so, how do you go through with working with people at that capacity?
Um, so I really haven't had any clients that have came to me with like a major trauma or anything like that. Even the ones that I have, and I train them in person. But now coach online. I can't say that I've had to, really bring in that side of it. But I mean, I look at it as everybody's going to have their struggles. And so even my clients that I have, it could be as simple as, just no motivation or, I can't eat clean and I can't do this. And, and so that to me, I mean, it's all mental. And so helping them sometimes just that accountability, that talking to them and sometimes even like I said, FaceTiming, stuff like it's just mentally it helps them. So that's one of those where I would say, without going through any traumas, it's more so the mental part of just staying consistent or the eating or just, you know, having somebody there for that
Yeah.
and talking them through it. Because it's honestly, it's no different than waking up and you're just in a funk. You're just having one of them days. So, like I always say, are you going to stay like that? Or are you going to talk your way out of it? Because I've been around. Another thing that I've realized is there's so many negative people out there, and you can sit there and you can constantly be around them, talk to them, or whatever. But all that's going to do is bring you down mentally. That's all it's going
Mhm.
to do. And
Yeah.
that's one thing that I've learned. Like, if you're not helping, not, I don't want to say helping, but if you're just going to be negative all the time, I don't have time for that. I don't want to be around it. And that's same thing since the accident. That's just kind of my thing. That I'll talk to people, and if they start, nagging about things, I'm just like, okay, well, I got to get going, see you later or whatever. Cause it's like, I don't want to hear it. You're not going to bring me down. Cause if you bring me down,
Yeah.
then it ruins my day. Then it ruins my family's day because I just bring it home, and it
Mhm.
goes, and I'm always telling my kids that. I'm like, you know what? I said, my son, sometimes I'm like, you're so negative. I'm like, just snap out of it. And, well, sometimes it's hard. Well, it is, but unless be around positive people that are going to inspire you, people that are going to support you. I mean, you're going to live with that negativity, and you're going to hate life. So it's like, is it worth it? No, life is too short. We've learned
Yes.
that, and I even lost my brother. He was 34 when I lost him. And he was one that, again, it's like, life's too short. I mean, whoever would have thought that he would have been at work and, had an accident and that happened. But it's just not worth it. It is not worth it. It's life, you know, you can't take
Yeah.
things for granted.
You
And
can't.
it's easy
And
to. It's
it,
very
it's so it's so
every
easy
day.
to
I
do.
mean,
Like our brain is designed to keep us safe. And
mhm,
keeping us safe means us doing the bare minimum
yep,
that it takes to survive. Let me just eat, let me breathe, let me sleep. Let me
yep,
eat, let me breathe, let me sleep. I don't want to do any more because, I'm content in that. Whereas you're like you said, tomorrow is not guaranteed. And I have so many different spaces that I speak in, and I always reiterate the only time that exists, that is real, is the moment that we're in right now.
hmm,
Yesterday, last year, whenever, the things that we're depressed about, like that's only a memory. Like it doesn't exist anymore. The future is an anticipation of what may be, but it's not guaranteed.
no,
And oftentimes, well, I'll go after tomorrow. I'll try. Well, tomorrow isn't real because once tomorrow arrives, it becomes the new today.
yep,
So when you're telling your brain, well, maybe tomorrow, you're really telling your brain, I'm always going to anticipate doing it someday, but I'm
yeah,
never going to actually do it. And just looking at the fact that, like you guys, like you said with your brother, you never could have guessed what his accident would have happened.
no,
And with your daughter, you never could have guessed. So it's like those types of things have to remind us that life is precious. I
hmm,
have to take advantage today of what I truly desire because I don't know if I'm going to get tomorrow. And I have a client out of New York. Well, she lives in North Carolina now, but I was on Zoom with her last night, and she still works. She works for Wall Street. She does some type of accounting in the accounting department. Anyways, she works her traditional job, 9 to 5, and she's also helping as pretty much an executive administrator for this company um, that she's helping build. And she asked me, she's like, how do you like manage the time of doing everything that you need to do? And I had to let her know, well, for one, I focus on like the moment. I focus on
yep,
what needs to be done now, what has to be done today. I don't let anybody else's problem become my priority. I don't allow anybody else just their need to become something I completely shift my focus to when I'm having to abandon or neglect what's right there in front of me. And when you really understand that, let me cherish what's going on right now, right here in front of me. Only then are you truly living. Only
hmm,
then are you truly embracing what you have. And, I look at what you're going through. I look at the tears that, you shed, and it just goes to show that the pain that you experience in a moment is real. And so many people, they try and keep it in. I'm going to hold this shell. Like, no, you're a human being. Like, express your human emotions right now because they can be that indirect permission for somebody else who's going through something to let it out. And once they let it out, people see, oh my goodness, such and such is going through something. Then they get the support. So as you were mentioning earlier, working with some of your clients and such, I ask you, how do you use your experience to help them do things that they may be dealing with? Oftentimes, it's just being there for someone.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like, you don't even necessarily every time have to say anything. It's just allowing them to say what they need to say. I had an associate that called me yesterday, um, and she had been messaging me for like the last day or so, saying that she needs some advice. But my time was occupied. When I finally did get on the phone with her, she talked to me about some of the things that she was dealing with, the advice that she needed. And before I even gave her feedback, she was like, "Oh man, so I actually can do this." I just
Mhm.
letting people talk through what they're going through
Yeah.
can help them figure out their own issues. Now, before we get ready to wind down, I want to make a shift back into the physical fitness workout space. So right now, let's say I was first off, share with the audience, is there a specific demographic that you prefer to work with, that you have the most experience working with? Um, what would you say is your favorite type of client to work with?
I mean, I think right now I do a lot with like busy moms, just trying to figure out like time management. that is, it can be very difficult. And sometimes, like you just said, sometimes talking to somebody and just saying, well, I have this, and this, you know, how can I fit it all in? Or how do I do this without, and I always say, working out, you can always have excuses to, I'll do it later, like you said, or, I'm too busy today. And you can't, it is, I completely understand. There are times where, we try to solve that together. So if somebody comes to me and they're like, I just don't have time, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, and I'm like, well, let's see what we can do here. And I will work with them with a plan to do that at home, to where they can work out at home and they don't have to go to a gym. And then it's all based on, a lot of stuff, basically what they do, what their schedule's like. So the plans are that I will write out for them are all going to be customized to suit their lifestyle. And like I said, I like more of the busy moms just because I can relate.
Yeah,
So it's easy to do. So that's usually, what I lean towards. But like I said, I've trained, some that are in their 20s with no kids. I've trained, older people. So I've done all, and I won't completely say like I specifically have a favorite. It's just more so the busy moms, or even just somebody who is busy in general, whether it's a
yeah,
college student or something. I can feel like I can relate to
definitely,
that.
definitely.
So,
So let's say I'm that busy mom, and I'm just going through social media and I see your content. I scroll a little bit, like, okay, she looks like she knows what she's doing. Um, I've been exploring, trying to figure out who can help me get my life together. I'm trying to get in shape. I'm trying to eat better. I'm trying to manage my busy schedule. What would be that first step that I should take in order to start working with you?
well, I mean, I am on like Instagram. I'm on Facebook. You can always email me, if you want to do that. So those are usually, those are probably the biggest ways I would say to get in contact with me.
Okay. So if I were on
Mhm.
Facebook, and actually, let's see. Well, everybody who's watching here, if they're watching on Facebook, they'll know. So let's go with Instagram. How would I find you on Instagram?
So on Instagram, I am AMW underscore resilient strength. I don't know.
Resilient Strength. That's all one word, right?
Hmm.
All right. So I just dropped that in the chat for the viewers. That's how to get in touch with Angie on Instagram. So this is for maybe some of those other, and I'm going to call you a fitness influencer. So, for some of those other individuals out there that are helping people get themselves together in the fitness space, what would you say, based off of your experience, is the primary way to really kind of get yourself kicked off and going, landing clients, and like the primary ways to make sure that you actually deliver and you're not just another fitness guru out here that's just chasing after people, but you get the right people and you actually deliver on the results.
I mean, my big thing is I've turned people away as well. So you have to find who fits you, you who fits you. So if you're looking for a trainer, I mean, it's important to get to know them and vice versa because, I've worked with people and they just don't seem to be getting the results that they want. And a lot of times I will say that when you are coaching online, it is harder. It's a lot harder than doing it in person because you don't know if they're following the routine, what they're supposed to. So then it's
Yeah.
like, okay, is it you or is it me? Like, I
Hmm.
don't know. So it's harder for sure. But I mean, I think the big thing is just finding that who works best for you is going to be the big thing.
Yeah. And that's something that I feel like a lot of people, not only in the fitness space, but just like entrepreneurs in general, they find themselves, especially early on, they find themselves wanting everybody to be their client because they need the cash flow. Um, they haven't really carved out their niche. They haven't helped enough people see results to where they know kind of where their target client is. So they try and get as many people as possible, even if they aren't necessarily a fit. So how would you say you specifically go through? Um, and you mentioned it to a certain degree, like some people are just not getting the results, and slowly
Mhm.
but surely you realize, okay, maybe it's it's not a good fit. Like, what are some of the first things, or some of the first, I guess you would say, red flags to say, okay, this probably isn't the best coachee, partnership with someone.
Uh, well, I would say, I mean, it just depends on the individual. It's more so just having that conversation and seeing if you click with them and vice versa. I mean, you can talk to somebody and just from maybe the personality or that it's just not going to work. Like you can
Yeah.
just tell. I can't really say so much. I can't pinpoint exactly. I would just say just talking to them and knowing like, you know, you can talk to somebody and be like, "Oh yeah, this is going to work. We're good."
Hmm.
Or, "Yeah, no, not happening." So,
Yeah. Now,
I
see, I'm,
can't
I'm
really
glad you
pinpoint
answered.
exactly.
I'm glad you answered like that because too many people just give a cookie cutter answer, and my response would be like, well, that doesn't necessarily apply to
Yeah.
everyone. So
Yeah.
it's a very it depends type
Mhm.
of response because you could have one person that exhibits the very same characteristics as another person, but then their output, what they actually do after you get working with them, are completely different.
Yeah.
So it's always going to vary, from each and every individual.
Mhm.
So we got your social media here. We've got we're going to drop some additional information in the chat afterwards. If someone wanted to, or not if someone, we got that here. What are some things currently that you have going on? You have any deals that are coming up, any programs that are popping up, challenges or anything like that that you want the people to know about?
Right now, I just, like I said, do the customizing plans. I will do the nutrition plans. I'll do the fitness plans. I will do um, the combination of both.
Mhm.
And I'm actually working on like putting the website together. I like to have an app that has, different stuff on there for people. But like I said, that's all in the makings. So I'm working on that right now. So, and really with that, I would like to do some type of a challenge and all of that. So,
Perfect,
but
perfect. So,
that's to come. We'll say.
yeah, so with that in mind, with what's to come in mind, and I may have asked you this question before, but I'll ask you now in front of everyone.
Oh boy.
So, we'll say 3 years from now,
Mhm.
success is inevitable, failure is impossible. What would your life look like? What are you doing? How many clients are you working with? Are you still coaching online? Like, give me a snapshot to where if I close my eyes, I can see you existing in that life. Like, what does that look like?
Um, I would say in 3 years, that would be my goal. Would be like full time coaching online. So, how many clients? I can't say because I like to have that relationship with them. That more so that personal, I guess you could say, relationship. So, with
Yes.
that being said, I don't want to just grab people just to be like, okay, I've got, 30 clients or whatever. I don't want that. I want that relationship. I want to be there when they need me. I want to give them the time and the attention that they need versus just having people, just to have.
I
So
love it.
I can't really say a number. I won't say that.
So what I'm getting is like you are really about a transformative relationship and not just a transactional. Let me get the people in, help them get
Right.
results, get paid, on to the next one.
Yeah.
Uh, I love that. I love that. I love that. I don't know. Maybe it's something that can be part of the plan in the future, but I kind of foresee you being able to be like a train the trainer type of individual someday. Um, Not that that's anything that you want to do, but just looking at your experience, looking at the fact that you care so much about seeing other people succeed, but doing so by really building a true relationship with them. I feel like individuals who are looking to get to a stage in life that you are, as far as the internalizing what it takes, to be that fitness coach, to to exude the manifestation of what you're trying to help other people accomplish. I feel like you're in a good position to be able to be that person for someone else. So, off that note, what does the rest of this week look like for you?
Um, Good question. That's when I have to go to my calendar. Tomorrow's not too bad. We do have appointments in the afternoon. She does. And then Friday, I actually she's has another appointment in the afternoon, and I have some clients that I will be talking with over the phone. So two new ones actually. So
Nice. Good
yeah.
stuff. Good stuff. Well, I'm glad that you were able to spend this time with me today. I really wanted people to be able to see, okay, she's been through X, Y, and Z
Hmm.
on the upper side. She's been through X, Y, Z, with the downers. But she's here. She continues to push forward.
Yep.
So many of us in life, we have obstacles. We have things that are thrown at us, and we allow it to completely derail us. And oftentimes it's easy to be derailed when you don't have anybody in your corner. So I would highly encourage everyone, and I'm sure you would attest to this, is to get you a mentor, accountability partner, a coach, a somebody that sees the greatness in you, and they help you remember, and they kind of, put hold the mirror up to your face, but specifically when you're having your downtimes, like they're there to pick you up. And one of the things that I've seen based off of some of the things that you share is like you're willing because you've been there to be empathetic with people, but at the same time, kind of like you mentioned with your boys or your son, like we gotta hush the excuses up and do what we need to do to make the change eventually. So, with that being said, thank you again for your time with
Yeah,
us this afternoon.
thank
Uh,
you.
I'm excited about what's to come in your journey. I'm sure we'll have you back someday sharing some additional wins. And who knows, maybe I'll get up to Illinois or yeah, Illinois, right? Indiana,
Mhm.
Illinois,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
And you can whoop me into shape a little bit before I
Yeah.
go into my my competition.
Sounds
Oh,
good.
goodness. All right. Well, thank you again. I'll put you backstage real quick, close out with the audience, and I'll come back and close out with you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you again. All right, ladies and gents, that was our show for today, Legacy Dialogue. So Angie is here, not allowing situations and circumstances to hold her back from continuing to push forward and be the gift that she is meant to give away to so many other people who are looking to get their fitness, their health, their wellness in order, from a mental capacity, from a emotional capacity, from a physical capacity. So whatever you're going through in life right now, realize that you're not or you don't have to go through it alone. Realize that there are people out there that can help you get through it more efficiently. And ultimately realize that today is the only day that you have control over. So take advantage today of whatever you desire for tomorrow. Make a step today in that direction. Do something today that's going to help get you to where you say you want to get to tomorrow. Because tomorrow's not granted. So let's make sure we take advantage of every moment that we have. With that being said, that's a wrap for today. We'll see you guys back, not next week, but the following week